move all this. We've got flowers, we've got candles. Well, the title I chose today is Renee, don't you think she's doing a great job? Yeah. Peace is my nature. And this is what I call a truth statement, a capital T truth statement, meaning it's based in spiritual principle. So we're familiar with our 5 unity principles, yes, more or less. The first one is God is. There's only one presence, one power, one activity in the world, and it is good. The second principle is I am. That, which we just called God or Spirit, Divine Mind, whatever name you want to use, created us. And so guess what? We are also all good and spiritually powerful and creative and all the things that God is. The first 2 principles, God is and I am. So we inherit our nature from our Creator, right? God is peace. That means I am peace. Well, that might be the truth, but is that our experience? So I'll speak for myself. I am not always 100% peaceful. Seems like peace kind of comes and goes, perhaps all day long. So why is that? Why, if I am peace, why can't I maintain my peace nature all the time? So and I'm hoping that you're with me on this, because so a couple things come to mind. One, well, let's look at the big picture. The world. So we listen to, we hear, we read. The news can be disheartening, can be discouraging. It seems like the whole world is at war, that people are fighting each other everywhere. Well, I can tell you from personal experience that that is not the truth. That is not the whole truth. I have lived in many, many countries for long periods of time, mostly in Southeast Asia and in Asia. People of all faiths and backgrounds are living peacefully, side by side. They're good neighbors. Their children play with each other. The women with diverse upbringings chat and laugh on their way to buy the food for the day at the market. Every morning, one of the places where we lived, the first thing you heard, well, just at dawn, was the call to prayer from the mosque that was just a few blocks away. And then about an hour later, we'd start to hear the bells ring in the Hindu temple, because everybody who was a Hindu would come to the temple before they started their day. And so there's little children with their little backpacks on, and they're running through and ringing the bell and getting their blessing. And there's businessmen in suits and their briefcases, and they're going through the temple. Everybody is going through that temple. And then about a couple hours later, we would hear church bells, because there's little pockets of Christianity, this is in India, all over the place. And there's a Jewish synagogue that we often visited. All of these people are living together in peace. So I invite you to keep that in mind, that there are billions of people on this planet that are living in peace. Billions. So check to see if your news diet is balanced. If all the news sounds bad, then you are not getting all the news. There are many sources online. Unfortunately, you have to seek for them, search for them these days. But you can Google good news worldwide. Yeah, there's so many amazing things going on in all different areas, in the environment, and cleaning up the ocean, and providing powerless light to people who live beyond electricity. So much good. People are so innovative and so creative and so imaginative, and they're working hard to make this world a better place. And I don't believe they get enough recognition for that. So I invite you to seek and find and celebrate the good that is going on this planet, so that we have a balanced view of the world. Deep in our hearts, we want peace for all. We want the world, I'm pretty sure we agree, we want the world to be a peaceful place. So how can we, as one person, how can I, as one person, do that? So listen to the words of a sage from around 250 BC, Lao Tzu. He says, if there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. And if there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. So that would be you and me, right? Right here, right now. What are we bringing into the world? How are we being an expression of peace? So when you look around your neighborhood, do you see peace? Maybe if you go to the grocery store, you might see people hurrying or arguing over parking places, frowns on their faces, rushing around. Peace can feel very far away. And then I look at myself. Am I one of those people with a hurried, worried look on my face? Yeah, sometimes I am. So have you noticed this? 1 minute, you can just be feeling so peaceful. And the next minute, something happens, you have a thought, and whoosh, it's gone. This can happen before we're even aware that it's happened. So a few weeks ago, I went to, I live in Courtney, so we have a little farmer's market. And there's a single lane dirt road that goes in to the parking lot in the market, and a single lane that is the exit. So we did our shopping. I go to pull out, and the car in front of me is stopped. So it's like, okay, and the car in front of them is stopped right in the middle of the exit lane. And then there's a car that pulls up behind me, and they stop, and they stop. Next thing you know, there's 5 or 6 cars in front of me. I thought, why are they stopped right in the middle of the exit? Well, nobody honked. This is Canada, I guess. But we all just waiting. And finally, the first person who had blocked everybody else, drove out, and then we all got orderly and we all drove out. So there are many disgruntled and impatient and unhappy people in that situation, including me. When I was finally able to drive away, I continued to replay the incident in my mind. Why did they stop in the middle of the road? Didn't they notice that they were holding up everybody behind them? And then, thank goodness, I'll tell you, this is the thing about practicing spiritual truth. Thank goodness it didn't take me all day or even an hour to realize what was going on. It took me maybe 3 or 4 minutes, thank goodness. And what I caught myself was saying, really, Vicki? Does my peace of mind have so little value that I will toss it away when someone holds me up for a few minutes? My peace of mind is one of my greatest treasures. Why would I discard it so quickly, so thoughtlessly? Let one incident rob me of this precious gift. So does my peace depend on circumstances or people? I truly hope not. If so, then my happiness is at the whim of everything that is said to me, everything that happens to me. I'll be tossed around like a leaf in the wind, this way and that. If peace on the planet depends on peace in my heart, the question is, how do I find peace? So let's go back to our principles. Peace is embedded in us. It's part of our spiritual blueprint. It's part of our spiritual DNA. We cannot be separate from an infinite source of peace. That well is always available to us. So if that's true, then peace is not something that we seek. The question really is, what can I do to cultivate, to nurture, to activate the infinite peace that is already within me? So we talk about peace of mind. That's kind of a common phrase that we use. But we also experience peace not only in our minds, but in our hearts and in our bodies. And all of these give us a clue when we are out of alignment with peace. So non-peace in our minds, what does that look like? Well, having a conversation like the conversation I was having after I got out of the parking lot, uncontrolled thoughts going round and round. I should have said that. Why didn't they do that? They never do this. Why don't they? Why didn't I? All that kind of stuff. When I catch myself having these insane internal conversations, I know I am far from being at peace. Maybe you can relate to that. So that's in our minds. What about our bodies? Our bodies are reflecting back to us all the time what is going on inside, sending us messages about what is happening perhaps at a very deep level that we don't often recognize, and we rarely listen. And we have learned this, to ignore a feeling of unease, or a funny feeling in our stomach, or our tense shoulders, or our clenched jaws. These are all signs we could pay attention to that will help us see what's going on inside. And then there's our hearts, our soft, tender hearts. So what happens when we judge others? I had a few judgments about somebody who would stop in the middle of a one-lane exit and hold everybody up. What happens when we judge others, when we push them away, when we contribute to separateness, when we do the them and me kind of conversation? We shut down our hearts. We put up a wall. And yes, that might protect us from those kinds of situations, and it also prevents us from experiencing all the good and the love and the joy and the compassion that people offer us, that life offers us all the time. So when we find ourselves irritated or judgmental or shut down, we could criticize ourselves. And I used to do this. I don't do it much anymore, but it's like, Vicki, you know better than that. Like, you've been on this, you've been in unity for 15 years and you still do that kind of stuff. So we could criticize ourselves, but can you see how when we do that, we are just creating more non-peace? So making a commitment to being peace does not mean that there's no turmoil, no problems, no disappointments, no pain. It does not mean that everything always goes our own way. Hopefully you've given up on that idea, that everyone magically agrees with us or likes us or appreciates us or treats us the way we think we should be treated. No, it means that in the midst of all of those situations, we remain calm. We gently catch ourselves leaving our peace and take a moment to breathe and come back to it. Some of you are familiar with Pema Chodron. She has a book many books, one called Practicing Peace. And this is what she says. This is the real work of the peacemaker, to find the soft spot and the tenderness in that very uneasy place and stay with it. If we can stay with the soft spot, with the tender heart, then we are cultivating seeds of peace. This is the work of the spiritual warrior, the true practice of peace. So being consciously on the spiritual path does not mean that we are going to be a perfect expression of the divine in every moment. Being consciously on the spiritual path means that, one, that we recognize when we are off center, and two, that we know how to bring ourselves back. So I invite you to identify strategies that will help you when you find yourself in this position ahead of time, like have them in your back pocket, like a little first aid kit. I need to listen to some nice music right now. I need to go for a walk around the block. I need to sit in front of the window and just look at whatever, the flowers, the sky, the mountains, the sea, whatever is there. I need to call someone. Thomas shared a great little tool, I don't know if you remember, quite a while ago, called PBS. Anybody remember that? First one, pause. It's always a good idea, for me anyway, before I pause. Second one, breathe. Third, soften, come back to love. So be prepared also. Sometimes we know when we are going to be around somebody that just, we hardly ever leave the situation without having to restore ourselves back to peace. And, as much as we would like to, sometimes we do release things, you know. We thought, I really want to release this person because every time I'm around them, I get crazy. Could be our sister, could be our neighbor, could be our parent, could be our child. They're still going to be in our lives, right? So just prepare yourself like a spiritual warrior. Okay, I'm going to be spending the afternoon with, So let's just get myself, this is when you bring your spiritual strength into play. I want to stay spiritually strong. I want to be grounded. I want to be centered. I want to let whatever they say or whatever they do just like the wind through the trees. Or in a situation that we can find ourselves, a person or a situation that we know is going to be challenging to us. A friend of mine is on a board of directors for a strata council, is that what it's called? Yeah. So she girds herself every time she goes to one of those meetings because, you know, it's a very stressful situation for her. And so she gets herself prayed up, gets her spiritual strength activated, and can go in there and just do her best, right? That's all we can do. So spend time getting yourself centered and spiritually strong. We can do this. We can do it. It's our choice. It's our choice. Nobody can make us irritated. Nobody can make us mad. Nobody can make us lose our temper, right? We do it. We do it. I remember I was a vice principal at an elementary school, and when I said I would be the vice principal, I didn't realize that's where the kids go when they get in trouble, you know? Because I never got in trouble in school. So one time I got these two little really angry, 7 or 8 year old boys, and it was a very small office. Like their energy was like their faces were red and they were sweating. They were really mad at each other. One had thrown sand at the other one. So it's like, okay, what's up? He said, he made me throw sand at him. And I went, wow, make me do that. You can't make somebody do something if it's not in their nature to do, or if they're not in the situation to do. Nobody can make us. Nobody could make me throw sand, right? Nobody could make me lose my temper. Only I can do that. We have that choice all the time. We're not puppets. We're not victims. We're powerful, creative, spiritual beings. So we can do this. We can be a presence of peace wherever we go. It's the best gift we can give ourselves and everyone around us and the entire world.